Hello good people of the internet, my name is Unassumption and today I will be playing one of my favourite games from my childhood, The Fantastic Adventures of Dizzy. I'm playing in English because it's the only language I know and also because this is a very English game made in my country of origin. You can see before you a picture of our protagonist, Dizzy, in a snazzy hat that he sadly doesn't wear in the main game. This is the plot of the title. Our girlfriend Daisy, who you'd know is our girlfriend if you'd read the manual, but not if you played the game. There's no indication of that in the game itself as far as I recall, has been kidnapped by an evil wizard who's going to force her to endure an unspecified but undoubtedly terrible fate if we don't save her. So we're leaving our treehouse village to go rescue her. We are a member of an egg-based species called the Oak Folk. That pun is one of many egg-based puns you will find in the game. And here is our treehouse. You can jump, pick up objects like that star, of which there are 250 in the game. You need to collect them all to win the game. That is a feature found in every Dizzy game. This is the 7th game in the franchise, if I remember correctly. The rest are all on the Commodore 64. This is the only console game in the series. You can pick up items or drop them in front of objects they are to be used on to use them. You can only collect 3 items, as you'll see in the inventory screen here, which also gives you a small description of the area you're in. And that can be quite annoying because sometimes you will want to carry... You'll see an item you want to pick up, but you've already got 3 items. And that can lead to some backtracking, as can trying to collect all of these stars, which open up the route to the final boss. I'm not sure why Dizzy has an animal's head on his door. That's on his wall. That's a little creepy. You never see animals in the game, so perhaps these egg people have murdered them all. These fruit will increase your score. Yes, this game was made back in the days when arcade elements like scores and unfortunately lives were still part of gaming. In the other Dizzy games you died instantly when you hit an object that hurt you, but in this one you have a damage meter that I'm trying to show off. It fills up very quickly, and these fruit also reduce your damage. There are a limited number of the fruit, so I usually try not to use them all up when I'm playing. Objects you can pick up are all the same size as Dizzy himself, though when you use them they sometimes expand, as this wooden plank will show. Perhaps that plank was extending off into the background, but it is a lot bigger when you use it than it is when you pick it up. That corkscrew-like object is a key that opens the lifts that allow you to get around this village. These spiders are one of the very few enemies in the game. There are a lot more instant death traps like that plant in the game than there are enemies. There are only spiders, birds, we'll see a bird over here, and these snails. I'm not sure exactly how snails murder you, but then again I'm not sure how eggs are walking around and talking to people. Dizzy was chosen to be an egg so that his face takes up the whole screen. He has quite a lot of personality, as does this game in general. The instant death trap of the plant is a bit weird to be so close to the start of the game, but it's to stop you falling into this other instant death trap. These wooden spikes. I'm not sure why the Yoke Folk have a Viet Cong style trap. They might be a lot more brutal than they let on. But yes, that's the wooden plank being used. As you can see, it is a lot bigger than it at first appeared when we picked it up. That item I just grabbed was a can of weed killer that lets us past the plant. And as you saw, you had to use the plank to get the weed killer. There aren't that many instant death traps in the game, so it is a bit weird to see 2 of them so close to the start. But maybe that's where the game creators have most of their imagination. So now I have murdered the plant, I can pick up the rope, the bane of my existence. If you drop this rope in an area that you can only access using the rope, and there are many areas you can only access with the rope throughout the game, you will render the game unbeatable. And I gave up playing the game right at the end, right before the end boss as a child, because I had dropped the rope in a place I couldn't get it. So I will try not to do that this time. I just explored the village hall of the Oak Folk. There's no one there because everyone has been cursed by Zax, not just our girlfriend. I'll show off another frustrating feature of the game right now. When you jump down a downward sloping ramp, you will continue to roll until you reach the bottom of the ramp, and if you have to roll for an enemy, that can be dangerous, or if the ramp leads to a pit of death, that can lead to your death. There is no fall damage in the game, but if you fall, you will be stunned, and if there's an enemy in the path of you, while you're stunned, the enemy can kill you by walking into you. Like that little snail there, if I was stunned right here for a few seconds, would fill up my damage meter completely, because the damage meter fills ridiculously quickly in this game. I'm going to leave the rope here and use these elevator keys to turn on all the lifts in the village. So I need to use the rope as little as possible in the village and have the least chance of losing it somewhere. The keys to the lifts in the village and to everyone's houses are found within the village itself, which is indicative of many puzzles in this game. The items you need to use to solve the puzzles are found next to the thing you need to use them on, for the most part. But this key here is to the house of Grand Old Dizzy, the mayor of the town, and that's the only key that's not found within the village itself. It's found next to this broken down machine here, which turns on all the lifts in this mine, which has spooky as fuck music. It really creeped me out as a kid. I can only surmise from that, a little environment-based storytelling like Dark Souls, that Grand Old Dizzy was down in the mines trying to fix the machine, and because he's a senile old git, he dropped his keys, and I thankfully picked them up so I can go and visit him. I also picked up his door key from the mayor's, like the town hall, so he dropped that there because he's an important figure, I'm supposing. He's very forgetful with his keys, but then again, so's everyone in the Oak Folk. Everyone's dropped their keys around the Treehouse Village, and they can't be locking their door for protection if they're leaving their keys out in the open, so I'm not exactly sure why they lock their doors. It's not stopping them from being robbed or anything, and anyone who can get up these lifts is probably able to rob them anyway. God, they really need to get rid of these murderous spiders. Like, why are they living in a location that's full of spiders that can kill them very quickly? This hook beneath me is one of the many hooks you can use the rope to grapple over. The hook acts kind of like a grappling hook. And I keep walking past these keys that I wish I could pick up, but I don't really have space in my inventory to do so, which means I'm going to have to backtrack and remember where the keys are to use them. That plant there is used in Grand Old Dizzy's house. And as I said earlier, items tend to be used right next to where they're found, so that means we're near Grand Old Dizzy's house. As you just saw, I dropped an item behind that tree in the foreground, and not being able to see items that are hidden behind objects in the foreground can be really annoying. I've probably dropped the rope behind one of these trees in the past and then lost it forever because I couldn't find out where that I couldn't remember what tree I'd hidden it behind, and I'd walked behind every tree I could think of, pressing the pick up items button to try and grab it. Here's another example of an item found right next to where you need to use it. That hook there, like, we can't jump up onto that platform right yet. We don't have a high enough jump ability, so we have to drop down here in a leap of faith. I hate the number of leap of faiths you have to make in this game, just because you can't see downwards. The screen scrolls left and right, unlike in previous Dizzy games where it didn't scroll at all, but unfortunately it doesn't scroll up and down, so you often have to drop down to a platform that's below you, or jump up to a ledge that's above the screen that you can't see, and that can be really annoying. Almost as annoying as having to press the use key 3 times to get to the item in your first slot, because you'll only use an item if it's in the first slot to use it. And I've dropped that 1 ton weight on that hook that's pulled down the platform. Dizzy is a lot stronger than he looks, being able to carry 1 ton weights. Unfortunately, we can't access Dozy's house yet. We do not have the key to his house. The item you need to use for Dozy isn't actually found right next to him, which is surprising. I am so lucky that I didn't walk right into that snail, that I didn't get stunned next to the snail. I need the rope to access that key up there. I took a million attempts to get that key by trying to drop down from the hole where the lift used to be onto it, or to drop down from above onto it, but you have to actually swing across to get to it. There's nothing in the manual that suggests that the rope can be used to swing through these hooks, and as a 9-year-old or something, a rather stupid 9-year-old, I must admit, it took me forever to realise you could swing across there. I really hope I'm not going to get stunned on a snail or something and die. Ah, good, I got stunned behind a tree instead. The game creators thankfully didn't hide any items behind these trees. I think I'm going to have to grab the rope, which I already forget where I left it. I know I left it somewhere in the open towards the beginning of the village, so I haven't completely lost it yet. But this is the first indication of the problems you'll get into when you drop the rope, and it's so annoying because you're only dropping the rope most of the time because you can't hold more than 3 items. If you could hold more than 3 items, the game would be so much easier, and it's a form of fake difficulty. Like, it doesn't require any skill on your part to carry more than 3 items. It just requires you to not get bored and forget where you dropped the rope. I'm glad that modern games have got rid of that fake difficulty, but one good thing about the rope is you can use it even if it's in the 3rd item slot, if you're next to a hook, which is very useful. Now, I've only got the keys to Grand Old Dizzy's house here. Thankfully his house is right next to the lift that leads up to it, so if I can find that again, I will be opening it. His puzzle is actually the one you have to finish close to the end of the game usually. Each of the people in the village has been cursed and they have a puzzle for you, and when you finish that puzzle, usually a fetch quest, you'll get an item that helps you to get to the final boss. And so we don't need to finish these puzzles until quite late in the game, but I thought I would open the doors so I could introduce you to the villagers who, like the Smurfs, all have one and only one character trait, and we only have to interact with them once in the whole game. They have 2 unique text screens like the one you see here. They're really interesting graphical descriptions, like really good pictures of them, but unfortunately you don't really see them much. Like, it's an interesting picture, egg with wrinkles on his brow and stuff, but they're infused with so much personality for things you only interact with once or twice. It's kind of disappointing that you interact with them so little. This item here is one of the few items you never actually use in the game. It just has a picture you can see in the inventory screen here, showing the items you need to use to make the medicine to save Old Man Dizzy, this old dude here, Grand Old Dizzy, I forget his name. He's like Papa Smurf, but he has been horribly poisoned by Zax or something. Zax is just trying to murder him. He has ironic punishments for everyone else based on their, there's a vain guy who always wants to be cool, who's frozen in ice. There's a lazy guy who's been put to sleep. But Grand Old Dizzy, no, he's just killing him, which is a bit creepy. It's also a bit weird that you can throw the bottle that you're going to pour the potion into the cauldron before you put the ingredients for the potion in there. That's not usually how you do cooking. But I don't have the heart to tell Dizzy that. I'm not sure if Dizzy has a heart within his eggy form. I'm not exactly sure how these spiders are killing him. But yes, you can now see me delivering an ingredient for this potion, which was found right next to where the potion itself is to be made. It's one of the many puzzles where the item you need to solve the puzzle is next to the puzzle itself. The other item we need is a mushroom that's actually found a little outside the village, though not far outside the village. You can't really go that far outside the village, as the village takes up half the fucking planet. Yes, it's supposed to be a little treehouse village, but when you see how small the planet is, you will realise that it's actually not that small. I think I'm gonna die falling down here onto a spider or something, but this is a shortcut at least. Yes, I'm gonna die. Oh, I didn't actually die, I'm so lucky. But yes, the mushroom is not this mushroom here, it's a mushroom a little further in. I'll be slightly more cautious so I don't get killed here. These butterflies are an obstacle that doesn't actually kill you, they just knock you back a bit. I like that there's rain and weather effects in the game that affect Dizzy's mood. He's a bit sad in the rain. He can get an umbrella that stops him being sad in the rain later on. It doesn't really do anything else. It has one other effect. It stops these acid drips here in the mines and elsewhere from hurting you. And the game also has a day-night cycle in the background. I'm not sure if I've mentioned that yet. It rotates really quickly, but that's only to be expected because we're apparently on a planet the size of my village, my real-life village, because if you keep moving in one direction, as Dizzy is here, you'll eventually get back to where you are now. So the planet Dizzy's on is circular. It's kind of like a sphere, only two-dimensional. But you'll get back to where you're starting really quickly. There's only about 10 screens to scroll through horizontally. That goes up and down quite a bit. The top of the treehouse village is, if I recall, the furthest up you can go. I thought I would use the mushroom on the cauldron to finish the first puzzle in the treehouse village. And to save the old man's life, he can't actually die, but I don't want to keep him sick for too long. I'm not sure whose key I've picked up. I'll check the inventory. Denzel's key, so not yours, Daisy. I'm not exactly sure what this D-based naming scheme everyone's got is. Everyone's name begins with a D. It'd really suck if you were in a town where everyone's name began with the same letter and yours didn't. Everyone would hate you, probably. Yeah, so I'm gonna tempt fate by leaving the rope there. I will have to remember the rope is right next to the village hall. Yes, as you can see, when you enter the screen, if the lift's above you, it will drop down to your level, which isn't very good to avoid enemies like attacking the village or whatever these lifts, which I presume the lifts were invented for in the first place to prevent. Though any enemy trying to attack this village couldn't do much worse than all of these spiders of death that are all around the village are already doing. Yeah, I tried when I was a kid to fall down those holes hundreds of times to see if there was any secret item or any way of finishing a puzzle that I could get to by dropping down, but no, you can't drop down. That's something you can't actually do. And this bundle of straw is used to save the cool guy. We need to put straw under him and then light it up. As anyone who's had fire safety training knows, to set a fire, which can save this cool guy. Surprisingly, the fire doesn't actually fry our eggy friend, though walking into fire does hurt us. As anyone who's had fire safety training knows, we need oxygen, which these eggs do breathe. There's an underwater section and we can drown, so we need oxygen. We need an ignition source and we need fuel. We've put fuel down there. Now we need an ignition source, and unfortunately it's not these torches burning everywhere. We can't just grab one of them and put it next to him. No, we need to get a match, which is found on the other side, as far as we can go, of the planet. So that is one puzzle where the item we need isn't right next to where we need to get a rabbit. And there you saw, for the first time, me rolling down a hill, leading to me being hurt. So yes, the rolling does hurt us. I'm just checking to see if there isn't a key down here. I don't know the layout of the game perfectly. Glad I've got my rope, so I can swing up here. I think this is where Grand Old Dizzy's house is. My lack of knowledge of the layout of this village is harming how long it takes. It's increasing how long it takes for me to get around. I am almost as slow as one of the many snails in this game. But yes, I can hopefully show you the solution to the first puzzle. Damn you, spider. See? Not being able to see what's on the screen above me led to me walking straight into that spider. If I could have seen what was above me, if the game scrolled up and down as well as left and right, I wouldn't have walked into him, but I suppose I should be thankful for what I've got. This potion, unfortunately, is something you do need to put at the end of your inventory to use it, and here we've saved the life of this elderly man, who, and that's what he was doing down in the mines. He wasn't fixing the machine, he was going dragon hunting. He's stolen a dragon's egg, so now we are Dizzy Targaryen. We're gonna use our dragon to burn the wizard's castle down and take over this world, or not, unfortunately. I like that you can see the day-night cycle through the windows. I'm just checking to see if there's no stars I missed over here. No, there isn't. Please don't be anything down there that I'm about to fall onto. Yay. But yes, we need that egg to access the final boss's house. Oh shit, I'm gonna fall onto that spider again and die. Well, oh god, I wouldn't have fallen into him if I didn't roll. Surprisingly I didn't die. This is the benefit of being at full health when you fall down places. But yes, I've given up on opening everyone's doors, and I'm going to show off a bit of the mine. There are many mini-games in this game. The Dizzy franchise had lots of spin-offs in the Commodore 64 era, and most of them are found as mini-games in this game. There is a minecart ride in the mines, which is one of many times where the difficulty of this game, which is usually very fine, like just what it needs to be for its target audience, spikes dramatically. The water will kill us instantly if we fall in it, so Dizzy does need to breathe. Unfortunately, well, fortunately for us, we get scuba gear, which lets us swim in there later on. This wrench will fix that machine. We don't need the golden egg for a million years, so I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully I will remember where I've left it when it comes time for us to use the egg. But for now, I'm going to open up the lifts in the mines, and then I'll go back to opening the doors in the treehouse village, because I've started down that path. I might as well finish it, show you the remaining villagers. So much backtracking, as you can already see. The majority of backtracking in the game does take place during the opening of all the doors in the village, so I'm getting through that boring part right now, and then I'll probably promptly die straight afterwards, and all of this will have been for naught. But I'm going to do this so that I've got an incentive to make sure I don't die, so I never have to do this again. I've got the key to Daisy's house, and I know her house is down here, or maybe Dora's, one of the woman egg things. I'm not exactly sure how an egg can have a gender. Do they have like egg genitals? Are their genitals like in the creature within the egg or something? Not something you should be thinking about, I suppose. Another slight difficulty is if you walk off the screen. You walk off the screen slightly before you think you would. Like you're slightly above the bottom of the screen when it switches screens. Well, here is our girlfriend Daisy's house. She has some sour lemons, a picture of the Grand Canyon for some strange reason. There's nothing like the Grand Canyon. I'm not sure why that looks like the Grand Canyon to me. It's a very abstract pixelated picture. But yes, there's something like the Grand Canyon on her wall, even though there's nothing like that in the game world itself. There's Cage, which we can trap that stupid little mouse in, and the key to someone else's house, the key to Dozy's house. So yes, I think our girlfriend has been cheating on us with Dozy since she's got the key to his house. We should probably pay a visit to Dozy and slap him around or something. We need to punish that little guy for being with our girlfriend. But we've got to punish another little guy first, that mouse, who usually wanders by here. Where is that mouse? I feel like Dick Dastardly trying to catch a pigeon right now, waiting around for that mouse to appear. Ooh, I almost put that rope behind a tree, then I would have lost it. But yes, it's very annoying if you've got the cage in the second position and you've waited around to grab the mouse and you drop a key on him instead or something annoying. But yes, now we've got the mouse, we can go to Dozy and give him a piece of our mind for leaving his key in our girlfriend's abode. I'll grab that star I just saw on a platform below us, because I don't want to get all the way to the final boss and be told that I need to grab a star that I've forgotten where it is. If I could have grabbed a star when I saw it, it's best to grab every star on every screen as soon as you get to that screen and as soon as you can reach the bit where the star is found, so that you don't get to the final boss and realise you need the stars. The game gives you no indication, even in the manual, that you need to get all of the stars to complete the game, which is highly annoying. I'm not sure why I've gone all the way back to Daisy. Well, I am sure I got lost again, and I just rolled down that ramp, which thankfully there wasn't a pit of death at the bottom of the ramp, but it did slow me down and force me to go up another screen. All of these screen transitions, It would have been funny if I'd actually dropped down that pit when I wasn't trying to drop down it, but no, I didn't. Denzel is frozen, and we're not going to save him. He was frozen today. I'm not going to save him for a while. We need to use the mouse on Dylan. I'm not sure where Dylan is. I was hoping to leave the mouse outside his house, but I do not want to leave that rope anywhere that I'm gonna, forget it. And I do not trust myself to remember where the rope is if I can't even remember the layout of this village. I know Dozy is the top house in the village. For some reason he's up in the clouds. I would have thought it'd be Dylan who was up in the clouds, because Dylan, like his namesake Bob Dylan, is a stoner character. There aren't very many houses in the village. I could check in the inventory to see whose doors I've got the key to, but this is Dora, who has been transformed into a frog due to her vanity, and we can now pick her up and shove her in our inventory. And this puzzle was taken from an earlier puzzle in one of the earlier games in the series, Fairy Tale Dizzy or something, and we have to give her to a prince who can kiss her. It's kind of a reverse of the frog princess thing. Well, the frog prince thing, well, she's a princess of sorts who's been turned into a frog, and now we can go give her to a prince to snog. Yes, there's a very weird prince who just snogs frogs. Maybe he's French or something. Yes, that was my English coming out. We have to scroll through to till she's at the end of our inventory, and now we can give him to a prince who just grabs and kisses her. He must be incredibly sexually frustrated, and then gives me advanced weapons technology, a crossbow. Yeah, that's a bit strange to just give a random egg creature a crossbow. Why was he in our village with a crossbow anyway? Is he the guy we're trying to keep out? And this guy here will kill me instantly if he walks into me. And we have to throw him the ham. Now, if I'd just gone down here and tried to use an item, I would have thrown the key at him, and that would have resulted in him, delayed me a bit, resulted in him killing me. So this is where having to scroll through so that the item you want to use is at the end of your inventory is really annoying. This little jump here, you have to jump on the barrel over the water to avoid falling down and dying, really annoyed me as a kid. It scared me too. I always used to fall down there and die when I was a kid, showing just how bad I was at platforming back then, because now I can do it no problemo. I'm so glad that this lift does fall down for me though. so I'm not locked out of the village if I come down here without using the lift. Because in a game where it can be rendered unwinnable, I have to be thankful for every effort the creators took to stop it being unwinnable. I've got to find out where I left that mouse now, and where that other key was that I couldn't pick up. But yes, unfortunately we don't get to use that crossbow on the final boss. Dizzy is a bit more merciful than that. He still kills the guy. This was back in the day when our children could play games that involved much killing, but he doesn't kill him using the best weapon he has available for some reason. And he also doesn't kill these annoying spiders with the crossbow. Maybe the prince wasn't going to invade our village and murder us all with a crossbow, he was going to murder the spiders. But I really do think that we were trying to keep someone out with all of those Viet Cong spike traps, and perhaps that plant that I murdered was actually a trap we'd put in to stop people like the prince entering. Maybe Dizzy is unwittingly clearing a path for people to invade our Wookiee village. I don't know. I'm just talking out of my arse here to fill dead air. I'll leave the mouse next to Dylan's house. And there's the key to Dylan's house right by his house. This one's slightly harder to get than the other key since you need to use the rope, which is also found in the village to get to it. Yeah, like if I left the rope here and dropped down, I'd be screwed. I wouldn't be able to get the rope again, and I'd just be able to see it, and I could get all the way to the final boss and not be able to use it, and that would be so annoying. But yeah, Dylan at least has hidden his door key in a slightly harder to reach place than most people. These eggs must be as brainless as most eggs usually are, having hidden all of their door keys in so close to their houses. As you can see, you can actually jump up onto ledges that are above you. You can jump through the ledge onto it, but once you're on the ledge, you're in a different layer, and so when I walk across, this cabinet here is solid, whereas down here it's not solid. Now it's solid, now I'm standing on it, and now these tables are solid. I have to scroll through my items to find Pogi, the mouse thing. Again, there's no indication in the game that Pogi is the mouse. You have to work that shit out for yourself. And there's another animal's head on the wall. I am not sure what this egg wants to do with Pogi. Does he want to love him and squeeze him and call him George or something? But I'm a bit worried given that animal head. I think he's going to kill Pogi. I fear for Pogi's safety. But at least I've rescued this pygmy cow from... Well, you never know if that cow's actually small or not, given how big the plank expanded when I used it. Perhaps the cow's going to become a full-sized cow when I use it. But yeah, I'm going to have to open the last door in the village, which I think is Dozy's, and then I'll get to smash Dozy like the little egg he is, for leaving his door key in my girlfriend's abode. Here's Dozy, hiding as far away from me as he can in the clouds, up where the butterflies live. The butterflies live far above the birds in this game. Yeah, your little shields aren't going to protect you. And is that an identical picture to the one in my girlfriend's house? You really are tempting fate here, Dozy. Did you go on holiday to the Grand Egg Canyon with her or something? Yes, I've got the lost key. Ooh, don't you try and kill me by having these fires right beneath where I'm going to drop down. Yeah, we can't wake him up for a while. I'd like to drop a cow on his head. I bet Dozy hasn't even been cursed. I bet he's just lazy and is still sleeping. Little twat. But yeah. So I've got a cow and a rope. I've opened everyone's doors. You've met all the villagers. And realised that they're all brain-dead little arseholes who I probably should just let Zax kill. But I am a merciful Eggman, and I will save them. To the extent that they can be saved. though I'm probably going to get birded falling down here. Like, the bird at least makes sense as an enemy, can peck your eyes out and stuff. I'm not exactly sure how these other guys are supposed to be hurting me. We can access the town, the next location in the game, in two ways. We can either go across the waterfall to reach it. This bag of gold will get rid of a troll who blocks the path in that direction, or we can go through the minecart minigame to get back to the town. I'm going to do the minecart minigame since I have to do it at some point, and it's one of the hardest parts of the game. If anything hits you in the minecart minigame, you die instantly. So I'm gonna do it early on to minimise my chances of being shattered into a million pieces and having to restart the whole game. Unfortunately, this game came at a time when this game came out at a time when you had live systems and no save files. There's no continues even. If you die, you're dead. You have to restart the whole game. Thankfully, the game only goes on for about an hour if you're good at it, or about 2 hours if you're shit like me. And so restarting the whole thing doesn't hurt you too much as long as you know where you're going. The minecart minigame's in the other direction. I just thought I'd show off this awful bird here, which I do not know how to get past without being brutally murdered. And now I'll show off the minecart minigame. Oh god, I've got 3 items in my inventory. If you win the minigame, you have to have a space in your inventory to get the item that it leads to. Thankfully you can replay it as many times as possible. You just have to press left and right to change what track you're on. You have to avoid 3 obstacles, those weird green things in the other minecarts, the rocks, which do sometimes fall into the track, and dead ends. This is not a dead end, this is an exit, which the earlier exit leads back to the mine, and reveals this dragon a little earlier than it really should be revealed. We need to use the dragon egg to get through there. That dragon used to scare the hell out of me as a kid. It's a combination with this creepy as hell music. Oh, I just realised how you're supposed to get past that bird. You're meant to use that exit in the minecart minigame to get past the bird if you don't want to get hit. That's such a lame bit of gameplay. Now I'm trying to figure out what item I'm willing to leave, because I do need all of these items in the town. I'll leave the cow for a moment. I can come back and get the cow. The cow will give me an item that I need in the very end game, but I don't need it quite yet. I like how there is a chance to switch track if you go onto the track with the first enemy, but apart from that, no, if you're on the track with an enemy you're gonna die, so keep your eyes on the top of the screen. It's really annoying if you don't get all of the stars in this section and you have to go back and replay it to get some stars. Like if you leave 1 star, especially a star right at the end of the section, you have to replay it to get that star. That's just annoying. Sometimes you have a very small amount of time to react after you've seen a threat at the top of the screen, which can result in your death. Sometimes you have to remember the whole track. Thankfully you don't have to remember everything. There isn't any problem that just springs out in front of you when you've got literally no time to react to it. If you're looking up, you will see all of the dangers and be able to react to them. It's scary for a kid, but once you're an adult it shouldn't really be a scary section anymore. So I mean, I think it's tailored to its target audience. I think that's true of this game in general. It's very well made for its target audience. Each of these exits leads to a different area. There's an extra life at the end of one of these exits, so yes, at least you can get extra lives in this game. Usually going to the right will avoid danger, not in the case of that one rock there. but usually you can avoid danger just by going to the right, and so if you remember that makes this section even easier. It gets a little harder towards the end, like now it speeds up, and so you have to concentrate a little more, but for the most part this section is easy-ish to do, especially with an analog stick. Analog sticks make the world so much easier than it otherwise would be. Well, you couldn't see that danger coming. If you'd kept going to the right there, you would have hit a danger you couldn't see. I'm glad I know that this leads to the shovel, so that I came here with 2 objects rather than 3. If I drop down now, it's quite hard to avoid that rat, which is the 4th enemy type in the game. If the village has a problem with spiders, this area has a problem with rats. This spooky graveyard with the creepy trees is a very unique area in the game. It's just one scrolling screen, unlike all the other areas which are multiple screens, but it has a very strong personality all of its own, and I really like this graveyard area. I always thought there'd be loads of Easter eggs in the area, but this game itself only has like 1 or 2 Easter eggs, which is kind of creepy. Well, it's kind of crappy actually, but this section is creepy. It's got the same music as the mines. This bucket is one of a few items we need to use on the final boss. We need to fill it with water for some reason to use it, though the water's found right next to where it is, so in one sense the item isn't used right where it needs to be used, because you need to go all the way to the final boss to use it, but in another sense it's like with many of the items in this game, it needs to be used right where you find it to fill it with water. It's kind of annoying that you have to fill it with water, and it has to be water from this area, not from, say, the ocean that you can swim in, but whatever. And you also use this item here, this trampoline, just to escape the area. It can be kind of hard to position the trampoline to get out. The rope and the crossbow used in the town, so I'll go back to the town. The description of this area in the menu says that there's a old haunted graveyard. It's an old haunted church, and you can see the church here. It's a very tiny church, I'm not sure who fits in there. The perspective in this game is all over the map, but like the gravestones are almost as tall as the church itself. But then you've got these tiny little urns on the ground. But yeah, oh god, I'm gonna fall into a snail rolling down here. Oh, thankfully I didn't fall into it. That's the extra life you can get to for another exit of the mine cart section. This guy here is standing on a piece of ground that we will grow Jack in the Beanstalk's giant beanstalk to find the boss's cloud castle. I sure as hell hope I'm not going to die of snail slime. Yeah, but as a kid I always thought that you could access that church and there was going to be some kind of cool Easter egg in there, but no, there isn't. And I always wanted to get that skeleton key. Yeah, I did get it once or twice as a kid, but it took me a million playthroughs to get that skeleton key. Most of the puzzles in this game, unlike those in, say, Sierra adventure games or most adventure games, are really quite easy. They're very logical, and it's not just because the item you need to use is right next to the place you need to use it most of the time, but they're very logical puzzles, and that's good to see in a kind of adventure game. It's a game for kids that actually tests their logic as well as their reflexes, though these little tunnels between areas of the town are places you are likely to die a billion times. The map in the top stops you getting lost as often as you'll get lost in the village, and also tests kids' map reading skills. So this game is really good for kids of 7 to 11, I'd say. Though it's a little easy for adults, especially if you know what you're doing like I do, despite a few difficulty spikes like the end of that minecart section. So there's 3 streets in the town, and you can get a bit lost if you forget which alleys lead to which street. We can go off to Crystal Falls, which is where that waterfall with the barrel is, to the pirate ship, which is where quite a few items we'll need for the end game are, or back to that graveyard. I'm pausing here to figure out where I'm supposed to go. I'm going to Castle Street, then I'm going to go to the docks, because I'm trying to figure out a route to the pirate ship, which is where I need to go. This guy is the merchant. We never really talked to him. I'm not sure why he's got a Hitler moustache. And we use the cow on him to get a bean. We can also get the one Easter egg in this game from him, but we're not going to get that on this playthrough. It's kind of sad that they've designed the characters with so much charm, but you only really interact with them once. That water there, even after you've got the scuba gear, you still die if you fall in that water, and there's quite a bit of water like that in the game, which annoys the hell out of me. I would have thought that they'd make water that you die if you fall in it a bit more visually distinct from other water, like make it green or something. Show it's like really dirty, but no, they don't do that. Like there's some more water here. There's a deadly like shark thing in there. Surely they could have used something like that to indicate that it's deadly water. No, they don't. This is an extra life. I'll come back to that if I need it. You have to do a stupid little tile sliding mini game to get the extra lives, and I don't want to do that if I don't have to. Thankfully we get some gold on this side to do the troll. You saw that pile of gold last time. Well, the pile of gold can be found on this side as well to stop you making the game unwinnable, which I wish they'd done with the bloody rope. Wish they'd done something similar to that with the rope, but they didn't. There you can see the butterfly knocking me back and stunning me so someone else can kill me. These guillotines don't actually kill you instantly. You might think they would, but they don't. I'm going to drop the crossbow as I don't need it quite yet. I wish I could crossbow those rats though. I'm grabbing a barrel of beer, which I'll use to get into the pirate ship, or it's whiskey or something like that. This guy here takes forever to leave the screen. And if you leave the screen and come back, he'll be where he was when you last left off. So you have to wait for him to completely leave. It feels a bit like padding. Not as much as the stars, but yeah, it's padding-ish. I'm very glad these don't kill you instantly, because they could have done. I wish your damage bar didn't fill so quickly. I'm not exactly sure why this village has guillotines everywhere. Like, is this the middle of the French Revolution or something? These guys do seem way more technologically advanced than our village. So maybe these are the guys who've got all the death traps to stop them attacking us. They do seem a little brutal with their guillotines everywhere. But maybe maybe we're at war with the people in this town. Maybe our egg people are at war with the people in this town, and they're guillotining us, and we're like killing them with our spiders of doom or something. That castle is a location that we need the crossbow in. Dizzy will show that he's not afraid to kill people with his crossbow. There aren't very many people in this game either. There's that prince and there's the shopkeeper who looks like Hitler, and that's all the people. Oh, and there's this pirate. So maybe Dizzy has killed off all the people. Maybe the egg people have done that, and they're hiding from the remaining few people in their treehouse village. That could explain why the people are so not friendly towards Dizzy. I'm not sure if I've got all the items I need for this ship. No, I don't. I need the rope to get one more item from this ship. And oh my god, where did I leave the rope? I'm beginning to forget where the rope is already. I really, really wish that you didn't have to go into the inventory to see how much damage you'd taken, and that there were more healing items, because I'm not sure where I need to heal up if I want to heal. You can't move up and down yourself even though your enemies can in those tunnels, which is very annoying. It's nasty when a game gives your enemies more mobility than you have. Oh, here's one way in which the game might have been rendered unwinnable. That pink dinosaur thing. If you go back this way, you would, and you hadn't got rid of the pink dinosaur, would it like kill you every time you tried to go back to the village? I'm not sure, but you can get back to the village via the pirate ship if you want to. I think I left the rope in this street, on the bridge here. At least I hope I'd left it next to the crossbow. Cool. I'm gonna put the crossbow by the door I need to go through, the alley I need to go through to reach the castle, which is where I'm going to use the crossbow. At least I would have done, but that's on a different street, so I'm not going all the way to Dock Street just to use the crossbow. I'll leave the crossbow here since I'm gonna have to go through that alley sooner or later. I was really trying to figure out what the umbrella was used for when I first played the game, but the umbrella's entire use is just to protect yourself from those drips of acid. It's just a status item, and it's the only status effect item in the game as far as I am aware, which makes it a little strange. This rat here is annoying because if you jump over him you will keep... There's a lot of places you'll just keep rolling in this pirate ship, which is a bit weird because it doesn't look like it's full of ramps or anything, but you will keep rolling in a lot of places and you have to time your jumps just right to get over these mice or rats or whatever. The pirate should really kill off all these rats in his crew. Like, you don't usually see criminals who accept so many rats in their crew. Yeah, you use the crowbar to access this secret hole where you'll find the key to the final boss's castle. I'm not exactly sure why the pirate has the key to the final boss's castle. Are they mates? Or is the pirate planning on raiding his castle? I don't know. But it's interesting at least. It's a little environmental storytelling. I could tell myself to pretend this game has more story than it really does. It has very little story. At least we can see slightly what's on the screen above here, but you can see for yourself that the screen transition happens significantly before the top of the screen. And sometimes there'll be things like this rat that you don't see on the screen above, even though you can see the platform the rat's on, which could lead to me getting hurt. I don't think I can actually jump up there from here. That's just a pit I can fall down into the rat from. I'm trying to make sure I get all the stars here so I don't fuck up. I've grabbed some dynamite, which you probably shouldn't just leave laying around at the bottom of your pirate ship. That's something I'm gonna need in the mine. In fact, it's the only item I'm going to need in the mine, apart from that golden egg I've grabbed. And so once I've got all the stars here, and I'm taking some fruit because I'm unlikely to come back here, once I have pilfered the pirate ship. So yes, I'm actually stealing from a thief here. I am more of a thief than the thief himself. He probably shouldn't be wasted all the time on all that booze if he doesn't want people to steal from him. Pro tip, pirate man. And here's a platform you can only reach from below, which requires a lot of exploration. It's a bit of a Metroidvania, only a really simple Metroidvania for simple kids like myself. Hopefully there's no other items here. I don't think there are. No, there's no other items. You see those, like, green fish, and they look really, like, scary, but I don't think you actually face them at any point. Now, I'll leave the final boss's door key here because I'm not going to need that for a while, but there is another item in here, which is an item that I missed for so long as a kid. You have to climb up these rafters to grab it, and I for some reason was convinced that you couldn't make that first jump, but you can make it, and then you need to use the rope. So I best get the rope to the front of my inventory. I think you need it at the front of your inventory. This is where I usually lose the rope. Oh, I wonder what the pirate's doing up there. It's quite unsafe to be up there when you're frigging in the rigging, to be up in the rigging when you're... I didn't know you could actually reach up here. So, since I'm up here, I can actually reach all the other platforms without the rope. Perhaps the game isn't as unwinnable if you leave the rope in certain places as I thought it was. Huh. Well, yes it is. No, it isn't. I think you can jump across to that platform and then fall down over here if you leave the rope here. That's interesting. That makes the game slightly less shitty than I thought it was, though it would still be incredibly frustrating if I left the rope up there as a kid. Now I'm going to have to figure out which items I want to leave here. Well, I'm going to leave the rope and the dynamite there and grab them when I meet the pirate. There is something I can do with the pirate, a kind of boss battle, though not really. There's a little mini game he makes you play and then you get the snorkel, but you have to go back to the town if you do that. So I'm thinking of going into the castle, which has another mini game associated with it first, because I've just got another portcullis winch from that pirate ship. Like, pro tip, castle owners, don't give known criminals the key to your house. Like, why do all the people with castles, presumably to protect themselves from pirates, let pirates have the keys to their castles? That's not a good idea. But yes, I'm going to go in that castle with my portcullis winch and my crossbow, and I am going to boggle the place after committing a little act of genocide by murdering all of the castle's inhabitants with said crossbow. I really wish I'd grabbed that umbrella too, but you can only have 3 items. Why bother including status items like the umbrella if you have to have 3 items all the time? Oh god, I'm gonna die. So I will need to use that extra life sooner rather than later. Yes, you can see that these little tunnels are hell. Thankfully I've done the mine section, which is the main instant death section in the game, so I'm not too bothered about losing a life here. Yeah, the entrance to the castle is pretty easy to see. Oh, I didn't know you can't enter without using the crossbow to enter. That's kind of weird. But yes, I thought you could push up to enter as you do for other areas. It's a bit hard to, like, it's a bit unforgiving, this section, because it doesn't give you long to realise the controls or what you're supposed to do. You're meant to shoot these guys in the face to make them fall to their deaths, and shooting them somehow increases your health. I'm not sure how that happens. And they'll throw rocks at you, and you've got significantly better egg technology or something. You stole weapons technology from the prince, who, I'm not sure why he's giving us eggs technology to kill humankind. And it's kind of weird, the more they hit you, the more of them there are. It's like killing me gives them health and vice versa is strange. And why don't they use that dragon thing in the moat to help us? And how do we bypass the moat just by killing them? Do their bodies like create a bridge across the water or something? But yeah, it's a very small castle area that we have to explore. It's a bit of a small castle for such a large town. I'm not exactly sure why the town... Maybe all of the townsfolk were hiding in this castle, hiding from my evil eggy arse, and that's why they have... why we don't see anyone except that brave shopkeep who looks like Hitler in the town. The town is completely devoid of life except for the shopkeeper and the goblin guy who was guarding that door. According to the description of this place, it is a deadly castle. I'm not sure why it's deadly. But Dizzy is a bit deluded. He thinks he's brave for killing everyone and then exploring the place. Maybe he's brave for, like, not having to deal with the ghosts of the people he's murdered just now. But yeah, it's deadly because of all of these goddamn spiders. Fuck, I hate these spiders. Why can't I use a crossbow on you? I have a crossbow in my possession. Why can't I crossbow your face, rat man? Yeah, I'm still slightly miffed at myself for letting myself die in that alleyway. You really have to pay attention when you're walking through those alleys. I'm not sure if I've been up here. There don't seem to be any stars up here. I wish I could press up to look up or something. I'm too spoilt by modern games. Thankfully we don't need to do the minigame to get out of here, even though the minigame status like HUD appears, the HUD appears. We don't have to do it. We also don't need the crossbow ever again. We don't need to be in this area ever again, in fact. I like that there's 2 lampposts next to the door to the castle. It makes it seem a little more grandiose than the other doors. So this is kind of a clue to my brain that that's where the castle is. I'll have to go back here if I'm going to the graveyard, so I'll leave these 2 items. This is a bridge in a box used in the graveyard, and that's a portcullis key for the final boss. So I'll leave those here for when I go back to the graveyard. And now I will go to the pirate ship to show off that other minigame, and hopefully I'm not going to die on the way. Yes, I really don't want to lose all my lives so early in the game. I don't want to have shown off the village and then die after opening all those annoying doors. But I'm going to grab an extra life. There is an extra life I've wandered past down here, and I can show off another minigame, the annoying sliding tile puzzle thing. You have to sit through this short sequence where it randomizes it. I wish it just randomized it quickly, or if there was a skip button and then you have a time limit to move these tiles so that they make the picture. It's always the same picture every time. I wish it just gave you an extra life without having to do a stupid little minigame like this. It's very simple. I used to find it hard as a kid. Again, I think the difficulty level is quite well tailored to the target audience of kids. Because as an adult I can easily see that if I put the corner pieces and the sides in, the picture as a whole will appear quite quickly. But as a kid that was really difficult for me to grasp because, as I've said, I was a rather stupid kid. So now all I need to do is move around the bits in the middle and swap which edges are where, and I will have the whole picture finished. Boom. So yeah, and there's very few tiles. It never gets harder than that. It's always the same minigame. Once you beat it once, they should just give you the extra lives automatically when you grab these things, especially since there's so few of them and they're hard to find. Some of them are a bit hidden, but yeah, like the one you need to do the minecart minigame in a specific way to get. But yeah, so I've got an extra life. The extra lives don't remove damage you've taken, unfortunately. So I'm going to risk my life straight after grabbing that extra life to grab some health by jumping over this barrel. It's nowhere nearly as difficult as I remember it being as a kid. That gold doesn't go away. I really wish we could pay the merchant with gold, but no, you can't. For some strange reason, the merchant does not accept a bag of gold. He will give you something for a single gold coin, but not for a bag of gold coins. I'm not exactly sure what economic system that would work in, where a bag of objects is more scarce than a single, less scarce than a single object, less valuable or whatever, but whatevs, this is just a video game. I left the items in the pirate ship itself, so I'll go straight to the pirate ship. I kind of wish I'd grabbed the cow when I was on the other side of the barrel and come back with the cow, so I could get the magic bean, which is what the shopkeeper gives me. And the magic bean lets me access the final boss's dungeon. Like, use the bean to make a Jack and the Beanstalk style beanstalk, and that will let you access the final boss's cloud castle, which is where he lives. And unfortunately you need to use the rope in the cloud castle, so I'd lost the rope by that point as a kid, and that's when I gave up on the game. Well, a drunken sailor has fallen out of the rigging, as you're likely to do if you're in the rigging drunk, and is blaming us for giving us the alcohol, and decided to make us walk the plank dramatically. Unlike real pirates, this drunk lunatic made us walk the plank. We can stay underwater for quite a while with our breath held, but we do need oxygen, as all eggs do. I don't know why eggs need oxygen, but whatever. I'm not sure if Dizzy is a single-celled organism like eggs. This minigame unfortunately requires a lot of luck, kind of like trying to find the bubbles in Sonic. Like, if the bubbles aren't where you need them to be, you're kind of screwed and you're gonna die. I'm trying to get all of the stars in this section, so that I don't have to do this minigame again. I'm not exactly sure what causes the bubbles to pop, or why some bubbles move faster than others. Like, the bubbles will move up and up and up, and then they'll suddenly pop. And I'm not sure why they pop when they do, and why sometimes you'll move through them instead of landing on them. Obviously I'm gonna try and get to the top and breathe some oxygen before I die. I do not want to lose my glorious, glorious life. You die as soon as your oxygen runs out. It doesn't slowly fill your damage meter, you just die. Because this water is water that you don't die in. I'm not sure why you don't die instantly in it, unlike the blue water earlier. But you do die as soon as your oxygen runs out. But now I'm on this little island here, and I've got my scuba gear, which thankfully works no matter what position it's in. Though sometimes when you want to pick up an item and the scuba gear's in your third item position, you're kind of screwed. We're back close towards the village. You've seen this screen before. Like, this is the other side of the screen with the mine in. I'm gonna try and make sure that items I need to use underwater are in front of the scuba gear, so I don't have to drop the scuba gear to use those items, because that would be annoying. The underwater area is the only place in the game with enemies other than the spider, the snail, the rat, and the bird. So it's kind of annoying that you only visit here once for a very brief period, and there's such a large variety of enemies. There's even an enemy that isn't used over the side here. There's an octopus that you never actually get to. This is a rather difficult platforming section to grab this treasure chest. It's an empty treasure chest, unfortunately. These clams really annoy me if I fall into them. Like that swordfish, I think there's only like 2 swordfish enemies in the entire game. And these crabs, there's so much variety of enemies down here, but you don't see that anglerfish thing you saw near the surface. But it is annoying that you've got such a great variety of enemies, and they're only in one small area that you'll briefly encounter, and the rest of the game just has the same 4 enemies. But whatever. These smug-looking crabs have killed me a lot by rolling onto them, being stunned, and staying around while they just continuously damage me, which is annoying. If I use the pickaxe, I can access the area that bubble's under, which causes the bubble to fly up. So I can jump on the bubble to access a higher area. I can't grab any more items, even though I can have 3 items in my inventory, because the scuba gear would have to be dropped to grab a 3rd item, which is just so obnoxious. If I drop down here, I will be able to grab that coin, which is only used for an Easter egg, and I'll have to keep jumping up and down until the bubble appears below me if I want to jump on that bubble and bounce up and up and up and up and up and escape this area. You need flippers to grab that coin down there without star down there and swim out without dying, which is so fucking obnoxious that you can get down there but you can't get out without dying. Thankfully when you die once it will restart you at the start of that screen so that you're not dead forever. Like that octopus there, you can never get to that region. I kept trying as a kid, you can't get there. So there's an enemy that you literally can never meet. This is another exit from the mine. You can press up to go straight to the mine there, and if you leave the scuba gear here, your game is pretty much over if you go in the mine. I think there's an exit to the minecart that lets you get back there if you've left your scuba gear. This is the other side of where the leprechaun is. We can throw salt in the water to change its buoyancy so the log comes to the surface, but I'm not gonna risk going across that log because I've died so many times jumping on it, rolling into the water, and that water will kill you even if you've got the scuba gear on, and I have no clue why that water kills you instantly. This isn't like Metal Gear Solid. Yeah, that empty treasure chest is used once. It's literally only used to step up onto that platform. I'm gonna go back to the mines, which is where I'd left that cow. I forgot I'd left the cow down here. I'll leave that outside the mines as I grab the dynamite and the egg, which are the 2 items I need for the mine. Now I've left them both just outside the mine, and so I can go back in there and hopefully not die at a puzzle that requires you to get just so close to an enemy but not too close, which is a kind of annoying puzzle. I'll leave the cow out here. No, I didn't mean to pick you up. Yes, as you can see, most of the puzzles are fairy tale themed, and they're mostly actually stolen from a previous game in the series, Fairy Tale Dizzy, I think it was called. Ooh, I forgot I'd left the rope there. I'll keep the rope with me, because I don't think I need more than just the dynamite and oh, there's another item that I need to bring with me out of the mine, but I'll be using both of these items to grab one item, so I can keep the rope with me for a while yet as I explore these spooky mines. Yes, I'm going to have to deal with the dragon. The dragon has a puzzle. It's kind of like Indiana Jones, you know, where he puts down the idol on the little pressure plate so you can grab another idol. Well, I put down the gold dragon egg so that I can grab another item. I'm gonna get hit going past that bird, but whatever. I wish I had the umbrella with me actually in the 3rd item slot, in the unnecessary item slot instead of the rope, but whatever. I can actually avoid these drips. And they don't protect me from the most dangerous things in the mine, which are the dragon. Here's an axe that I'll grab on the way out. The dragon and the lava, which you'll see soon enough. The dragon itself over there is able to kill you instantly by spraying you with fireballs, and you need to get close to the dragon and use the egg on it to calm it down, but not get too close or it will fireball the fuck out of you, and that's kind of annoying. Here's the lava shooting up onto my feet. It will boil me into a boiled egg if I'm not too careful. For some strange reason, dragon fire must be like 1,000,000 times hotter than fire, because the dragon fire will burn you to death instantly, whereas the well, that lava doesn't kill you instantly. We have to switch around to get it to be the last item in our item slot, which is annoying. Now make sure the egg is the third item so I can use the egg when I get up here. This jump here really annoys me, trying to get onto the platform without rolling off of it. Like if Dizzy hits something with his head, he'll keep rolling. Now, does that stop the dragon? No, I have to get closer to stop the dragon from doing that. And hopefully the dragon's not gonna still be spewing fire. Oh god, the dragon's still spewing fire. Fuck. Hopefully the dragon will be calmed down. Like, I hope I used that egg in range to stop it from fireballing me. I don't think I did. I think when I leave it's gonna fireball the fuck out of me. Oh good, I used the egg close enough. But yeah, that's a major problem with the dragon puzzle. You need to get close to the dragon, but not too close, to use the egg and calm it down. But if you get too close, it will fireball the fuck out of you and kill your ass. And obviously if you take the other egg, it will kill you. You have to take the golden shamrock, which is used for racism purposes. Yeah, you use it on an Irish guy, a leprechaun, to calm him down so that he'll leave, and then you can use the bean on the spot he was guarding to make the Jack in the beanstalk, and then once you've made the beanstalk, you can get to the cloud castle, use the portcullis key we got from the pirate ship to reach inside his castle, and then we use 3 items found from mostly throughout the game, but mostly the other villagers, to come to get through the castle and then fight the final boss, but we can only do that if we have all of the stars. I've just realised that it would actually be possible to get stuck here if I didn't use the wooden plank and I just kept going in this direction, did the pirate ship game, ended up on the beach. I would have made the game unwinnable. So the game is definitely possible to make unwinnable. It's just a little harder than I thought, because you can get to certain platforms without the rope. Like, you can get around the village for the most part without the rope if you use the elevator keys, though if you lose the rope on that platform where Denzil's door key was, you're screwed. I'm not sure why I'm carrying the golden shamrock around here. In fact, I'm not sure what I'm doing in this village. There's nothing that I really need to do over here except die, because I'm going to fall on that snail. Oh good, it didn't kill me. Yes, I'll leave the golden shamrock over here. If I go across that bridge, I'll be at the golden shamrock place. Not this bridge, the bridge where I used the salt to change the buoyancy of the water. And then I'll be back in the graveyard and I can get to the town quickly. But for now I'm going to cut through this bridge and get into water that I don't die in. Oh yay, I can actually fight these anglerfish. See, look at all of the variety of enemies that you face underwater, but you only face like the same 2 enemies when you're outside of the when you're above water. It's very strange that they have such distinct enemies underwater but boring enemies in the rest of the game. And the same with distinct death traps but not very distinct things that just damage you. Anyway, I've got some symbols which can be used to wake that dozy cunt Dozy up and get an item that I need for the final boss. But first, I'm going to jump over here and grab the cow. I'm not sure which direction I should go in. I'll go across the barrel because it's less likely to result in my horrible, horrible demise, even though I do need to go through those tunnels. And I'll visit Dozy first. Make sure the rope is with me. I don't need the scuba gear until I've done Doze's puzzle. No, it's Denzel's puzzle, which I could actually finish now if I go across that bridge. Yeah, we'll go across the bridge. I will go across the bridge. Yes, this is a difficult decision for me, trying to see if I should go across that little log in the water or not, given how horrible my experience with that log has been. I think what you're supposed to do is drop down on it rather than jumping down on it. If you drop onto it, just walk onto it, you won't roll, but if you roll onto it, you'll roll to your death. I'm not exactly sure why this beach looks like a fucking desert, but it does. It looks like a desert. I'm gonna go across here. No, please don't sword me, swordfish. It's kind of weird that the crab will kill you just as easily as the swordfish. I think that jellyfish is the only jellyfish in the game. Well, there might be a couple of other jellyfish. It's really weird how unique the enemies underwater are. It belies a problem I've got with this game, which is the effort seems weirdly misplaced. Like, some things have loads of effort in them, like that graveyard section, which is really unique and special, and other things, like the castle, are just really tiny and empty for the most part. It's like they put way too much effort in some things and not enough effort into other things. Like that octopus down there would have been like the 10th unique enemy in this region if we'd actually got to encounter it, but they clearly made an octopus, so they put a load of effort into the octopuses. I mean, into the underwater section, but practically no effort into, well, certain other sections. I'm trying to think of a section they didn't put much effort into, but, well, the enemies for the rest of the entire game, which there are like 4 of, so I'm going to try and drop down onto it and then jump out without dying. Phew. P-H-E-W, I didn't die. So we used the shamrock to get rid of the leprechaun, and now we've got the match. Oh god, that snail almost murdered my arse. I'm gonna drop down. Like, if I jumped on here I would have kept rolling until my demise, but I've just walked onto it. I've figured out finally how to get through that without dying. If I keep going I'll reach the graveyard, and I'll probably do that so I can avoid as many of the platforming sections as possible once I've used the match and the symbols to get through the last remaining village puzzles, which shouldn't take too long as I remember where the village, like the basic village layout. As long as I remember the basics of the village layout, I should be able to get away. And as long as I can jump out of that little section. God, I had more trouble with that than I should have done. I'm going to go a little slower now that I'm close to the end of the game, so I don't fall onto the spider or the snail and die just from falling on things. I'll take a little less risk, so I'm less likely to horribly die. Still wondering how these things are killing me. Like, how do you kill an egg? How do you kill that which isn't alive? Because an egg isn't really alive in the sense that, like, a multicellular organism is alive. It's a bit weird that an egg is dying. But yeah, gonna keep the rope with me, since I think I don't think I'm going to need more than 2 other items for the rest of the game with me at any one period, so I think I can carry the rope and not drop it, and if I've lost the rope I will have to go and find it again, and then that will cause me much in the way of pain and suffering. I really wish we could have used those torches, which are literally everywhere in this section, to save our good friend Denzel. That strawberry there is so difficult to reach. Hopefully I'll be able... There, I've got it. I've diminished my damage. I thought I'd been damaged a lot less than I had. I'm glad I grabbed that strawberry now. Well, I know that Denzel... There's loads of healing items in this village, actually. There's loads of different types of fruit. But then when you get to the mines, it's just a diamond. How does a diamond help your health? I don't know. There's a nice message this game's sending. Eat fruit, it will help your health. Eat diamonds, that will help your health. What the hell? Eat moons, that will help your health. Huh? Use fire, that will save you from being cryogenically frozen like Walt Disney. Anyway, Denzel has given me flippers, which is a status item that I actually do need to use. We can talk to these guys after we've freed them, but they only say one thing. I'm not exactly sure how that's any different from Dizzy, how walking into trouble is different from me, but yeah. Finally gonna wake that bastard who dropped his key in my girlfriend's room. I'm gonna wake him up just to annoy him, and then hopefully we'll have a talking to. I'll rob him, I'll mug him for whatever item that he can give me. If I can jump onto this platform that's above the screen, I really wish that this game scrolled up and down as well as left and right. Then again, I would have less excuses for my bad performance at a game that's very much aimed for kids if I didn't have the excuse that I couldn't see what's above or below me. Again, I have to scroll through all of my items to get the symbols at the end of my inventory so I can use them to smash that guy's head in. I really want to use the symbols like directly on his ears and just smash them onto his ears. Do eggs even have ears? I don't appear to have ears. How am I hearing things? Anyway, like if I just talk to him, it will say he's in a deep sleep, even though I've got the symbols. I have to put the symbols at the end, even though it's really fucking obvious that the symbol is going to wake him up. Boom, motherfucker, you woke up. Now let's talk about why you got your key in Daisy's room, or Dora, whoever my girlfriend is. Well, he's just a lazy scumfuck. He's given me a carpet, which for some strange reason he had in bed with him. That's a bit weird. It's not quite as useful as the flippers, though it does help me meet the final boss in a very weird, strange way. You would find it hard to imagine how a carpet will help us face the final boss. Like, is it a magic carpet? There were magic carpets in earlier games in the series, but no, it's not a magic carpet. It will still help us to face the final boss, though. I guess I did not know when I walked off that screen if the floor was gonna like go down with me, or if I was going to just drop off the edge of the screen and fall down into a snail, perhaps. Like, this is what being able to see below me would help me with. Like, the ramp goes down, but I didn't know it would go down because I couldn't see. Is the ramp gonna go down here? Yeah, it does. Oh, pardon me. Well, apparently the ramps always go down, which helps. Oh no, the ramp doesn't always go down. I just fell down there. I want to grab that moon without being hit by anything there. Phew. I just mooned you all. I grabbed my moon. Can Dizzy moon? You can press up so that we see his back. No, we never see his back. He always stares creepily directly into the camera. Dizzy has like natural showbiz talent. He always looks at the camera. Eyes it with his ginormous eyes. The reason I'm going the slow way to get out of town is that I do not want to take any unnecessary damage when there's only one extra life I can think of that I can grab before facing the final boss who can kill me in one hit. And I might die of that stupid salt water or one of those rat-filled alleys before I get to the final boss. I'm gonna have to venture across the water a couple of times to bring all the items I need. In fact, I'm gonna have to venture across several times if I carry the flippers and the... Okay, I'll take the rope across the first time, then I'll take those two, like the cow and the carpet. I'm really hoping I didn't leave the items I need for the graveyard at the entrance, at the other entrance to the village. It'd still be prudent of me to... Yeah, the flippers let me swim around like this. Ah! Don't kill me, jellyfish. It's the swordfish I was worried would kill me, not the jellyfish. Yeah, I'll wait for the swordfish to go as far away as possible before I swim up to grab that last star. Like, these are the last few stars that aren't actually found in Zack's castle itself. At least Zack's is hiding some stars. Oh god, that yellowfish. Why was I swimming at the same speed it was moving? That was not a sensible move, Dizzy. Oh god, I'm caught between screens. Oh god, there's no enemies up the top that can kill me. Yeah, it's kind of hard to turn when I'm down here. There's a platform up here which I think has some mangoes and stuff to reduce my damage. Phew. So I'm not just gonna die from walking into that yellow fish repeatedly. Glad I don't think you can leave your scuba gear on this island, because if you do, you can't get back to the island, but you can leave your flippers up there and then you're screwed. I'm just trying to catalogue all the ways you can get yourself like into an unwinnable situation in this game. So I'm gonna have to go across this bridge numerous times if I want to bring all of the items over. Thankfully I don't have to go underwater again, ever again, except to collect that one star that's in that one underwater room. Like, even with the flippers and the respirator, or whatever it's called, I will still die instantly if I fall in that salt water. I'm not sure how salty it is. Like, is it water or is it acid or something? Why don't they just call it acid if they don't want me to access it? Now, is there an enemy under here? Like, you can't see, there could have been like a screen-filling monstrosity just below me, and I wouldn't like that thing, and I wouldn't have known it if just because the graphics doesn't scroll downwards. Now, I'm not exactly sure how I'm supposed to get past this fish without him eating my face. Oh, like that. You can actually use the power to swim for good rather than for evil anyway. Huh? My jump is actually reduced considerably by the ability to swim. I didn't realise that. Is there anyone above me? Okay, there's a sworded fish above me. Well, changing directions repeatedly helps me to go up without moving left and right. That's the main problem with the flippers. You just move... You're always moving left and right when you move. To swim, you press the jump button. I'm hoping I grabbed all the stars in and around the pirate ship area. But yes, I'm gonna have to make a couple more of these very boring trips to ferry items across. Then I'll grab the last few items from the graveyard, that is the water bucket and the skeleton key. And I'll have everything I need to face off with the final boss. Oh, and there's the portcullis key as well. I think I left a fruit or two on that island, at least I hope I did. The clouds are just filled with fruit, so I'm kind of tempted to go to the cloud castle, but I'll need to grab my... Oh, I'm so glad I didn't fall into that jellyfish and get my face like stung off. It's good to know that Eggmen are hurt by stinging cells as much as humans are. I'm not sure how eggs are hurt by a sting, but that's something that happens. They're also hurt by spider venom. Like, maybe it's the venom that's hurting me, I don't know. Or maybe it's just the spiders being so big compared to my body that's hurting me. Oh, the spider's falling onto like a toadstool, so it's like Little Miss Muffet kind of thing. Is that true? I don't know. I'm not sure how much the fairy tale inspiration is conscious in this game and how much isn't conscious, but whatever. That's what the puzzles are like for the most part. I've pretty much finished with the puzzles in this game. The only puzzles you need to think about are the ones in the castle itself, but you don't really have to think about them too much because you're at the end of the game, and I was just wondering whether going into the mine would be quicker than swimming across, but I don't think it will. But yeah, when you're this close to the end of the game, you've only got a couple of items, and so it doesn't take much experimentation, even if you use every item remaining on every other item to get through the castle, even though you have to think a little more about the item combinations used in the puzzle, as the use of the carpet will show you. God damn, the use of the carpet is strange. I'm so glad that butterfly didn't knock me into the snail and kill me like that. I don't want to be killed by a sluggy thing. Something that's related to a slug should not be able to kill me. So annoying that I left the... Yes, I rolled into the enemy, and that's hurt me significantly. I hate the fact that rolling is your biggest enemy in this game. Like, the physics are one of the biggest enemies in this game, and that's never a good compliment for a game, that the physics is one of the things that's most likely to get you murdered. I love that there's a day-night cycle and there's weather in the game, but the weather doesn't have any effect on anything apart from your facial expression. And why am I smiling? I'm damaged to hell, as the inventory will show. Like, I am on death's door. Why am I still grinning like the idiot that I am? Anyway, I will do this one last time and hopefully not die. Woo! I'm so happy with myself that I figured out how to do that without dying. I don't need the scuba gear anymore. Oh shit! I didn't think I'd actually keep rolling there. Or there! Motherfucker, why did I keep rolling? That is flat bland. Why am I rolling? Well, now I've got no scuba gear, so I can't go back the way I came. And I really hope I'm not going to die in that water. Yes, I'm on my last life. Thankfully I've left one extra life in the town. I wish I could grab that extra life up there from the mines, but I can't. Yes, these two snails have killed me an awful lot, because for some strange reason the ground there is really slippery, you roll around on it. I'm hopefully not going to die in one of these rat-filled areas. I'm very glad that I have left the bucket of water here, so I only have to grab a couple of items. They are hopefully not all the way on the other side of the town. I'm not exactly sure where in the town I've left them, so this could take some time and involve me going through several of these alleys and being murdered by my attempt to go through the alleys. Okay, so I need to go to Castle Street to get to Dock Street, and from there I can get to the only place that I can think I've left these items. So it's really hard to tell if the... I wish I'd brought the cow with me, because I need to use the cow on that guy. So I'm gonna have to come back here again, and probably die in the attempt. Damn. Okay, so this could be where you get to see the game over screen. Okay, you're gonna get to see the game over screen, and I would have had to give up here if I was playing on a Megadrive as I did as a child. But I'm not playing on a Megadrive, I'm playing on something else, so I don't have to die. I can restart as if I had the ability to save from a slightly earlier period, though still not early enough that I don't have to hit myself in the face repeatedly wishing I brought the cow with me. Yes, if I was a kid I would have died just then and had to restart the entire game, which is why video games like this were frustrating for kids. Like, why didn't the game include an infinite number of lives? Why did it include a finite number of lives? The only reason it did that was to pad the game out. It doesn't really add to the challenge of the game, it just adds to the punishment of death. And that's just bullshit. Why do kids need to be punished for death? It just lengthens out the game artificially. Well, I kind of wish I'd grabbed this earlier so I didn't have to restart at any point. If I was a kid I would have really been wishing that I'd done this earlier, so I did not have to restart. But thankfully I don't have to restart because of the magic of modern technology. I can continue playing. I'm grabbing an extra life so I can do this as far as possible in the most organic way, like the closest to how I would have played it in its original form. This is so tedious though, since there's no challenge in this section. The only challenge this game really has is in the minecart and in the alleyways. If you don't get bored and frustrated of the game, you can easily avoid all the other enemies, but you're likely to get bored due to all of the backtracking. Perhaps that's the message this game is trying to teach kids. It's trying to make them learn not to be so bored. Well, thankfully I don't have to venture all the way to the start of the village. These are all the items that I need. And the extra life, so I can go back now. Well, all the items except the one I get from using the cow on the shopkeep, but I don't need to go too far back to find him again. So mad at you, Spider-Man, for killing me. So mad for you killing me that first time. And I'm so likely to die again. But I've got an extra life now, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I am so mad that I didn't bring that with me, although I didn't get that extra life earlier. I'm really scared of this bridge. I'm wondering if the other alley, which leads to the same place, is easier to get through. Because this is the last... Okay, there's one more rat, but there's less dripping. It's hard to tell whether the rats can damage you or not in those alleys, because you can't move up and down, but they can. I've said that before, but I'll say it again, since it's still a valid point. I can grab some fruit from up the top here, using this bridge in a box, but I'm gonna have to be careful since, yeah, this bridge is much bigger than it looks, like that plank of wood earlier in the game. Gonna have to be careful since that snail can murder my ass if I'm not careful. I think the snail managed to hit me somehow. Oh wait, the damage meter appeared because I used the fruit. Thankfully you don't have to pick the fruit up and use it to use it. Now that really would have been frustrating. Why's he got such a creepy face? He looks like he's got the smiley face emotic on that tree. These trees used to really scare me as a kid, but now they're just funny. Unlike the blank, deadly stare of these snails. And yes, I did walk into that snail. That was actually my fault. Well, now I have the cow. I have a cow, man. And I have to revisit the town for one last time, simply because I stupidly forgot to bring the cow the first time. Yes, Dizzy is very strong. He can carry a 1-ton weight and a cow. I shouldn't really be complaining that he can only carry 3 items at once if he's carrying things like cows and ton weights, when he's just a giant ostrich egg looking motherfucker. Trying to remember where the shopkeep was. Was he at the end of this street or was he at another street? I think he's actually at the edge of this street, at the other edge of this street, but I'll have to go through here. Oh no, he's between the place with the 2 doors leading to him, so he's here. So I'll give Adolf the shopkeep a cow and he'll give me the magic bean I've mentioned many a time. I'm not exactly sure what that barn thing next to him is. We never really get to know. But yeah, now I'm back at Bridge Street. I can go to the graveyard. So I didn't really have to go too far into town that time. That's cool. That's cool. I'll try not to fall down into that acid pit. I really hope I didn't miss a star somewhere, especially if it's in one of those mini games. Don't want to have to go back to the mines. The last few stars are in Zack's castle itself and in the cloud region leading up to it. You can see why this game was frustrating for me as a kid, even though it tends to be fairly easy. The problems arise from the backtracking, which is frustrating, and kids are likely to give up on a game, especially if they've got lots of alternatives, if it's frustrating to them, if they think it's difficult because it's unfair, not just because it's difficult. I'm gonna fall into the snail and die. Oh god, move, Dizzy, move! Don't move slower than a snail if you want to live. So grabbing that health item was not a good idea, since it resulted in me dying. If I fall down here, I'll fall into that water with the log on, and I'll roll and roll until I fall down into the water that you die in, even if you've got the scuba gear. You have to keep jumping up and down so that physics will forget that you can't actually live in clouds. So jumping up and down lets you keep walking on clouds. For some reason, if you're stunned, you won't fall through the cloud, which is good because I don't want to get stung by a butterfly. Butterflies which somehow fly at the same level as the clouds. Yeah, for some strange reason, Dizzy can Okay, I can't get back. I'm gonna have to fall down. Hopefully I'm not gonna fall to my death. Ah, I'm so glad I used the salt water, because if that log wasn't there I would have just fallen to my doom. But I used the salt water so I could grab that star and not die by falling down onto that platform. Because there was a log for me to jump onto. If you hit the butterfly, it'll knock you back in the direction that the butterfly is facing. And you can actually use that to help you get around this area. Yes, if you don't keep jumping, you'll fall through the clouds. I said that earlier. It's very Wile E. Coyote style. I'm not exactly sure why the cloud castle can remain above the clouds, but you, a little Eggman, can't. But I suppose you must be very, oh god, I'm gonna die. You must have a lot of strength in your little eggy body if you can... Well, I'm glad I fell straight down instead of falling to the side onto the snail as I respawned. That's good, they didn't kill me by respawning. This is a rather pretty Twilight background. It's kind of a shame that the Twilight in the rest of the game's areas doesn't look anything like this. Then again, I suppose in the real world, if you're up in the sky, in the stratosphere, you don't have the world look the same as it does elsewhere. It's very strange that the butterflies look exactly... They look nothing like the birds. Oh god, I'm gonna die of that snail again. Well, thankfully I can use my magic powers one more time to restart this section. And I'll probably die again as I restart. But yes, I would have been so frustrated if I was a kid and I'd just died twice in this little section here and right at the end. Like, there is a reason why games took kids so long despite not really being that difficult. Like, there's a... I think this actually had a real big effect on video games. The ability to save your game has allowed games to be longer than they otherwise would have been, and because you couldn't really have a game that was more than 1 hour, and it's also allowed them to have more difficult sections. Like, you couldn't have something like Dark Souls back where if you died you had to restart the entire game, unless of course you were aiming on not really having an audience for your game. So I think it really has impacted video gaming, the ability to save, though if we just, I don't know, had unlimited lives in this game, we wouldn't have had to do that, though. I mean, every game nowadays essentially has unlimited lives, and it hasn't really had any negative effect on video gaming, so I'm not sure why lives were really kept around in games. I know why arcade games had live systems, but I'm not sure why games on consoles ever really had lives or scores. I've got a B in my arse about scores. I'm not sure, like, they just confuse the hell out of me. Like, why did scores stay around for so long when they add seemingly nothing to gaming? I'm just like, why does Dizzy not fall through the cloud when he's stunned? Well, because that would really be kind of cruel. Just like it's incredibly lucky that I didn't get stunned on the snail that time. I really hate it when difficulty in a game is due to luck rather than skill, and a lot of this game's difficulty is due to luck. Like, that makes difficulty frustrating. That's the difference between something good and difficult like Dark Souls, which I've never played, so maybe it isn't good and difficult. But everyone says it's good and difficult because it's fair and hard. So I'll take them at their words on that. I'm gonna fall into the snail. But like, this difficulty is due to luck. Like, if I'd fallen slightly to the left or slightly to the right, I wouldn't have fallen on the snail and died. I had no real control over where that butterfly shot me. And that's not fun when you die and you don't really feel like it's your fault that you died. It's something that the game chose that you had no real control over that led to you dying, and that's just not fun. It's frustrating, especially when your target audience is a kid, as in the case of this game. Like, if I was, say, 10 even, I probably would have been a lot more frustrated with having to restart the whole thing than I am now. Thankfully I don't have to restart the whole thing, but I would have been frustrated enough to give up on the game now. I kind of wish the game always made the background go into night when you got to this point, when you got to the evil castle. Oh shit. I'm glad there was a cloud beneath me, because I probably would have fallen into an enemy and died and had to restart at this little section all over again. Yes, I've had to restart quite a bit in this section, which isn't as hard as it seems. I'm just getting a little bored with the game at this point and running out of things to say about it. Hence I'm saying more general stuff. Yeah, this castle, which looks smaller on the outside than it is on the inside. I'm not sure where Dizzy's using his portcullis. Yeah, the skeleton key doesn't open the castle itself. You just use a portcullis key on it and it opens the portcullis. I'm not sure how it opens the portcullis, it just does. And now you're in a castle which unfortunately looks just the same as the Orcs castle, or the Trolls castle from earlier. I'm not sure why I keep calling it the Trolls castle. I'm trying to pretend that it was full of trolls rather than people, like all the villagers who were hiding from Dizzy that Dizzy just murdered because Dizzy is a sick fuck and likes to use crossbows to kill people. Yeah, those spikes are an instant death trap, so I'm glad I didn't roll into them. And you need to use the carpet on them. This fire's an instant death trap. You need to use the bucket full of water, and it has to be water from down in that well. Don't ask me why, it just has to be. From under the graveyard. Maybe it's like holy water or something. You need holy water to put out his unholy flames. But yeah, you use the water on the fire or the fire will murder you. I'm not sure why certain fire kills you instantly, but like dragon fire kills you instantly, that fireplace kills you instantly. The lava from the mine doesn't kill you instantly. It does like tiny amounts of damage. It's very strange that some things kill you so much quicker than others. And the damage meter filling so quickly is really horrible. I just love how that morbid looking skeleton key exists just to turn on the lifts in his little castle. Is really weird. Well, the beanstalk at least shows us where it's safe to drop down. So I can drop down and grab the last few items I need in the game. The rope and the carpet, which will allow me to get over that spiky pit. And also, yes, I've kept the rope with me this time, unlike when I played the game as a kid. And I can use it in his castle to escape. I haven't been keeping track of how many stars I've got left. I really wish you could see that in the menu. And that these butterflies weren't so in the way. The final boss itself can kill you instantly, like this snail is going to kill me. Oh god, I landed on my feet. Such luck, such luck. It is such luck, it's not skill. And that makes death to bad luck seem really obnoxious compared to death to a lack of skill. Like, if I can say, yeah, it was my fault that I died, I'm not going to blame the game and stop playing, but if the game killed me in a way that's unfair, like, this game is far better than a lot of games of its era in that regard. Like, a lot of games from back then would kill me. Ah, thank God that the leprechaun doesn't hurt me. A lot of games from back then would make you memorize the layout of a level, and even in that mine section you don't need to memorize what the mines look like to get through it. I think I finished that on my first playthrough of this game. Now, this isn't the first time I've played through Dizzy as an adult. I played it yesterday and finished it for the first time. I didn't actually need to use any magic saving powers that time, which makes me really annoyed that I didn't record it, because this time I'm having to use the wonders of modern technology quite a bit in this ending section. But yes, I assure you, please believe me, that I can complete this as it was intended. And I found it really easy last time I played it. I was shocked at how easy it was, and I was like, oh, it was designed for its target audience of kids of like 10 to 11. It really deserved the age rating it had on its packet. And now I'm playing it, and it's like, shit, this is actually quite difficult. I see why a lot of people call it hard now, because a lot of people say this is a difficult game, and I was literally wondering, why did they think that? I'm so glad I didn't roll on close spikes. Yeah, must be an incredibly thick carpet to stop spikes of death from getting to you. But yes, that hook there is the bane of my existence, of my younger existence at least, since that hook you need the rope for, and I think I left the rope behind a tree when I was a kid. But again, no saving, so at the end of the day when you have to go to sleep and turn the console off, even if you haven't died, you're at the end of the game, which is another reason why I think gaming has got bigger games and longer games since we've had the ability to save. Saving has really helped gaming, so I'm going to have to drop down from above onto that star. I really wish I could look down and see things like that just by looking down, so I didn't have to make these silly leaps of faith like this. I like that the carpet also gives me a stepping stone to get up to that higher platform, but yeah. And I'm gonna have to jump over to grab it, and so annoying. It's like annoying but fulfilling at the same time to finally use the rope on that last hook instead of, oh god, why do I keep rolling? And this is another very annoying aspect. This is what comes of having narrative first and then game design second. They decided they wanted a game about an egg and thought it would be fitting if the egg was dizzy and if he lands on his head he rolls. But they didn't realise that just wouldn't be a fun game. I'm gonna grab this last extra life, just so that I have 2 attempts at the final boss. But they didn't realise it wouldn't be fun to roll off of small platforms. Thankfully the platforming isn't too difficult in this game. There aren't too many instances where you have to go across very narrow ledges. But it's still very annoying that when you do have to go across a small ledge, you can roll off it, and you don't really have much control. Again, it's fairly random. It's based on whether you land on your feet or not, and it's hard to tell if you're going to land on your feet or not. I haven't found any graphics that tells me, like, how far away from a platform do I need to jump towards that platform from to land on my feet, as opposed to landing on some other aspect of my anatomy, like my arse and rolling to my doom. I mean, I'm not saying there isn't such a graphical tell. There probably is for people who are more fans of this game than I am, and this is much easier than the other Dizzy games. I mean, I've never completed, nor will I probably ever complete, one of the games where you die in a single hit and have to restart the entire game again because you only have one life, like Treasure Island Dizzy. Yeah, that was a real pain in the arse. One life. Like, they had the first Dizzy, you had multiple lives. You died in one hit, but you still have multiple lives. Then in the sequel, Treasure Island Dizzy, you die if you're hit once. Like, who does that? Who goes from an like a more fair and sane game to a harder one? Oh, I've got the final star. That's cool. And it was another star that I needed to make a stupid leap of faith to grab instead of just falling down. Why do I need to keep the rope until this period in the game? Like, why do I still need the rope? Okay, I'm running hard. Like, how do I jump up there? Oh, I have to jump up from the platform below. That's annoying. But yeah, it's kind of weird that the game doesn't tell you that you need to have all the stars to face the final boss, which we're up to, which is actually kind of a proper boss. I'm not sure what Zax... Oh, Zax is actually a human. Maybe Zax is just getting revenge on us for killing all the other humans on this planet. Because there really don't seem to be many humans, and I'm not sure what we're eggs of. Are we going to hatch one day? Are we going to hatch and die? I don't think we can go back in the game world. So yeah, this is basically Donkey Kong. I don't think those kill me instantly. Yeah, they just increase my damage. Look, I thought they were fireballs to start with, but now I realise they're bowling balls. Is trying to crack my eggy head with bowling balls. The controls are deliberately slowed in this section so that you can make these tough jumps, which just weirds me out. Like, why would you design a section in your game that requires you change the controls that you've had for the rest of the game? Well, there's not really the controls, but the physics from the rest of the game in order to make this part of the game beatable. It just seems a bit weird that you'd do that. I'm not sure if I can make this jump. Oh, shiddle. I can't make this jump. I may have to use magic, the magic of saving one more time. I may have to be determined and use that magic once more. I'll just attempt to finish this using that extra life I grabbed before I do anything drastic like that. Oh, cool! There's actually like it's actually started me further up the tower. I wonder how many playtesters told them to include that feature before they did it. Oh no, I rolled down. Yes, rolling is unfortunately still a feature. As is the day-night cycle, which is cool. I like that this battle is literally taking multiple days on this ridiculously small planet. But yes, if you jump when you're rolling and your feet are on the ground, you can get out of the rolling thing, but it's still very annoying. Like here it's not too annoying because you can kind of... You can see where your feet are quicker because it's slowed down. Oh yes, you can actually make that jump. I was beginning to wonder if that was even possible to make. Okay, so I went up the wrong staircase there. It's like once I'd started in that direction, I couldn't really stop. Now I'm almost dead, so hopefully nothing's gonna hit me in the face. Oh shit. Okay, I'm gonna have to wait for these three. I don't think anything's gonna start bouncing down towards me. Okay, then he shoots this instant death ray out, which bounces back on the mirror. Why has he got a giant mirror where his instant death ray can bounce back to him? Okay, I can't actually die at this point, but I can get frustrated trying to reach the platform she's on. Okay, now she's my girlfriend, whether she was or not. Not that she's about to hug him and kiss him or even thank him for rescuing her from whatever the wizard wanted with her. Did he want fried egg for breakfast or something? But we are about to see some very graphic evidence that Dizzy and Daisy are in love. And here we get to see pictures in beautiful Technicolor of our characters. They look very little like the characters we've been playing as all game. We can see our score, which no one cares about. What, did they think kids were going to go around the playground like comparing scores or something? And we can see that a ridiculous number of people actually made this game, considering how many ways you can die. Well, they're in love, at least. They've got a giant love heart behind them. Whether they're going to kiss or not, or hold hands, I don't know what the sex lives of egg people are. Disney has ridiculously chubby cheeks for her, and a dimply chin for an egg person. But yes, they chose him to be an egg because on the Commodore 64, when you had like 8 pixels to make a character, that's all you could really use to express emotion, and they wanted to have him as an emotional character, and they have many facial expressions on him because 90% of his body is a face. The Oliver twins did most of this game. Unfortunately, they kind of lost all their money or something and have stopped making this franchise. Well, I suppose they stopped making it just at the right time when gaming became 3D, and the problems that I've seen throughout this game were beginning to be too big to be tolerated anymore. But I did enjoy this game. I think it's good for kids. I hope Dizzy and his girlfriend, an egg with a wig on it, have a happy life. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this as much as I enjoyed playing and recording it. Cheerio, old chaps, and so long until next time.